The Christians have the Holy Bible, the Muslims study the Holy Koran, the Buddhists have the Dhammapada. What captures the doctrines of Hinduism? Some say it is the Ramayana, others say the Bhagavad Gita, some others say the Upanishad. In order to know Hinduism, one must also know what its sacred texts are. Thanks for tuning into episode 6 of A Beginner's Guide to Hinduism. In this I describe the set of scriptures that capture the doctrines of Hinduism. Thanks for tuning into the Vedanta channel, in which I present ideas from Hinduism, the world's oldest religion, and Vedanta, the spiritual heart of Hinduism. Hinduism's principles are contained in a set of scriptures collectively known as Dharma Pramana, or that which provides true knowledge of Dharma. They include the 4 Vedas and its associated texts such as Vedangas, Uphangas, and Upavedas. In addition, they contain the Upanishad, the Brahma Sutra, and the Bhagavad Gita, together known as Prasthanath. The scriptures also include the great Hindu epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, as well as philosophical texts like Yoga Vasishta. The scriptures are divided into 2 categories, Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is that which is heard or revealed. The only Shruti in the Hindu scriptures is the Veda. Smriti is that which is remembered. It is of human creation. All scriptures other than the Veda are considered Smriti. Veda means knowledge. It is described as timeless and without an author. They are considered to have originated along with creation. It is organized into 2 parts, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. The rituals of Karma Kanda lead to the purification of the mind and the body and prepare one to be initiated into Jnana Kanda, or the knowledge of the self. The Veda is divided into 4 portions, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharvana, each with a unique method of recitation. Rig Veda is believed to be the oldest work known to humanity. It contains hymns of praise, which are organized in groups called Suktam. Each Suktam begins and ends with invocations to Agni, the fire god. Yajur Veda describes Yaj, or worship. It contains procedures for the performance of ancient royal rituals such as Somayaga, Rajasuya Yaga, and Ashwamedha Yaga. Samaveda is the musical rendition of Rig Veda. Samagana is the basis for Saptaswara, the 7 notes in Indian classical music traditions. Sama means bliss and is designed to bring peace to the mind through melody. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, "Among the Veda, I am Sama." Atharvana Veda contains mystical knowledge. It includes Prithvi Suktam, the story of creation, as well as the Prashna, Mundaka, and Mandukya Upanishads. For a seeker, it is said that the Mandukya Upanishad alone is sufficient. Such is the greatness of the Atharvana Veda. Vedangas are the 6 limbs of the Veda. They address aspects such as pronunciation, grammar, poetic meter, etymology, astronomy and astrology, as well as procedures for rituals associated with birth, marriage, and death. Upanga are extensions of Vedanga. They address philosophy, logic, mythology, and ethics. The Vedangas include 18 Mahapurana and 18 Upapurana. Srimad Bhagavata Purana is undoubtedly the most popular of the Puranas. It portrays Mahavishnu's various incarnations and focuses on the life of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. It is unrivaled in its stories and teachings. Manusmriti is the primary Dharma Shastra. In addition, there are 18 other Dharma Shastras. Upaveda are the appendices to the Veda. Ayurveda is the science of wellness and health. Dhanurveda is the study of weapons and war. Gandharva Veda deals with performing, visual, and fine arts. Arthashastra addresses public policy, economics, and wealth management. There are three canonical texts for the Hindu schools of philosophy, Vedanta in particular. Together, they are known as Prasthanath. They are the sources of scriptural authority. The Upanishad is the primary source of scriptural authority. It is the foundation upon which the philosophies of India rest. It teaches the knowledge of the self. The word Upanishad consists of three syllables. Upa, meaning near, Ni, meaning below, and Shad, meaning to sit. It denotes how knowledge flows, from the higher to the lower level, from the Guru to the Sishya. It also implies that right knowledge can only be gained from being in close proximity to a teacher. In total, there are 1,179 Upanishads, of which 108 are traditionally treated as important. Out of these 108, 10 are considered to be the major Upanishads. India's national creed, Satyameva Jayate, comes from the Mundaka Upanishad. Brahma Sutra is the second source of scriptural authority in the Prasthanath. It is a compendium of 555 aphorisms by sage Vedavyasa. The Brahma Sutra represents the entire body of knowledge of the Upanishad in a condensed form. The text is written for the advanced students of Vedanta. In it, sage Vyasa leads the student into the enquiry of the nature of Brahman, the relationship between Atman and Brahman, the nature of self-realization, and the means to attain this realization. Sri Adi Shankaracharya describes the Brahma Sutra as a string that ties the Upanishad together like a garland of flowers. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, also known simply as the Gita, is the third source of scriptural authority in the Prasthanath. Its 18 chapters are found in the Mahabharata. It was compiled by sage Vedavyasa and traditionally contains 700 slokas or verses, one spoken by the blind king Dhritarashtra, 41 by Sanjaya, his advisor, 84 by Arjuna, and 574 spoken by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. The Gita is perhaps the only philosophical song of its kind in any known language. It is a text that conveys sublime spiritual teachings on the art of living. It is also the most influential work in Indian thought. Its teaching is timeless and addresses humanity everywhere, at all times, in all aspects. Mahavakya are great sentences found in the Upanishad. They draw our attention to the central teaching of Hinduism, that our true self is divine. In particular, 4 Mahavakyas have been identified for their significance. The first Mahavakya says, Prajnanam Brahma. It comes from the Aitareya Upanishad. It is a statement of definition or a Lakshana Vakya. It declares that the awareness of Brahman or God is in itself God. With this definition, the teacher begins the instruction. The second Mahavakya comes from the Chandogya Upanishad. It says, Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. This is a statement of instruction or Upadesa Vakya. The teacher instructs the student that he is the Brahman itself and not the limited personality that he imagines himself to be. Thus begins the student's self-enquiry. The third Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. It comes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It is a statement of experience or Anubhava Vakya. After having undertaken strenuous self-enquiry and directly experienced the truth, the student confirms his learning to the teacher. The fourth Mahavakya comes from the Mandukya Upanishad. It says, I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman. This is a statement of practice or Anusandhana Vakya. Now that he has realized his real nature, the student is advised by the Guru to constantly abide in the self. Yoga Vasishta is a compilation of 36,000 verses by sage Valmiki, the author of Ramayana. It contains sage Vasishta's spiritual instructions to Sri Rama, an avatar of Mahavishnu. The sage deploys a unique method of instruction in which he uses fables and stories to illustrate philosophical truths which have their foundation in Advaita Vedanta. The text consists of 6 parts. The first part describes the disillusionment of Sri Rama with the ephemeral nature of life. The second describes Rama's desire for liberation. The third and fourth show that liberation comes through self-enquiry. The fifth describes the methods of meditation, and the last describes the state of an enlightened and blissful Sri Rama. Ramayana and Mahabharata are considered historical accounts by the Hindus. They are known as itihasa. They serve as inspiration for humanity by providing guidelines for realizing the goals of society as well as for attaining enlightenment. Ramayana is the smaller of the 2 works. It teaches the highest ideals of Hindu tradition, culture, and civilization. Taking place in Treta Yuga, the story centers on Sri Rama, the crown prince of Ayodhya and an incarnation of Mahavishnu, and his wife, Mother Sita, an incarnation of Mahalakshmi. The epic is profound and timeless in its popularity and teaches through symbolism how an individual can evolve to greatness and perfection. Mahabharata is more than 8 times the size of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey put together. It contains over 100,000 stanzas in 18 chapters compiled by sage Vedavyasa. The central theme of Mahabharata is Dharma. Where there is Dharma, there is victory, says the Mahabharata, reinforcing the need for right action and thought. The story unfolds towards the end of Dwapara Yuga and describes a great war between royal cousins. The story is a platform for conveying the all-encompassing principles of Sanatana Dharma. It is an inspiring account of ancient India's splendor and glory and is comprehensive in terms of the subjects dealt with. It is said, that which is in Mahabharata can be found elsewhere, but that which is not in it cannot be found anywhere else. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, do consider subscribing to the Vedanta channel and sharing it with others like you who may be interested.